Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Chris,
I'm Deacon Robert.
And I'm Pastor Kenneth.
and we are the Hope,
Hope
Dealers.
Dealers.
Tonight, we got an unusual topic. Tonight, the topic is the saying, once an addict, always an addict, true or not? And we're going to be discussing that. And we already have two polar opposites on the subject, so I'm just going to try to let them talk for a minute, and I'm going to bring it on in at the end of what I researched and found, and what I personally feel in my addiction, how it was for me. Now, if we look over here at Deacon Robert, Mr. Robert says that we're always in rehab. We'll always be in rehab. Is that not what you're saying to me?
No, I didn't say always be in rehab. I said always be in recovery.
What does that mean?
It means, for me, I can only speak for myself. It means for me that, I spent 30 years out in it. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to get back what it is that I didn't attain during that 30 years. And I don't just mean financially or money wise, I mean mentally. And it took the shame and guilt took its toll on me for a while, and I've never recovered from it.
Okay. I guess what we're saying is, though I understand that, but are you always going to want to do drugs?
No, no.
Okay, I think that's the way you were interpreting it, is you'll always have to be in recovery to not do drugs.
No, what I was saying is that when I talk to people
Right?
about myself, I don't tell them that I'm a recovered addict.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them that I used to be an addict, because once I accepted Jesus into my life and I asked Jesus to take that from me, he washed me of that. And at where I'm at now, that's the old me. That's not who I am now. Now I'm a pastor of Soul Revival Bible Church. I am an ex addict. Uh, I don't really particularly celebrate my years of recovery,
Right.
or of my of being clean. Um, I do know how long it's been since I've been clean.
How long?
February would be 5 years.
Okay.
But I don't, when I speak to people, I don't tell them that I'm a recovering alcoholic or that I'm a recovering addict, because I've already been recovered by God.
Okay. Well, Robert, what in the world? What do you think about all that?
I think that it's absolutely true what he said. Old things pass away, and we're a new creation in Christ. That's what I think.
Okay. Well, this will probably the shortest hope dealers of the time here, because I'm going to put in my 2 cents worth. I think that we're born with an addictive personality. And the reason I say this is a lot of personal experience, okay? Because I was a personal trainer, and people who are recovering alcoholics or recovering any kind of addiction that decided to get healthy, I had to watch them very closely, because having an addictive personality means we overdo anything we do. We overdo it. We can't have just a drink. It's one's too many and 1,000 ain't enough.
Right.
We can't do just one shot and walk away and never do it again. One shot's too many, 1,000 ain't enough. That's addiction. And so people would come in that I'd be training in the gym, and they would overtrain, and I'd have to Come on, dude, back off, back off, back off, back off. You're doing more damage than you are good. People didn't understand. You need to let muscles rest. When they rest, and they growing. And I had to watch them with their diets. They would over diet and starve themselves to death. So I guess, I had my own personal experience in my addiction as well. Would I say I'm a recovering addict? Maybe. I don't know. Um, and I don't want to label nobody as an addict, you know. So, tonight's subject was, uh, are we once an addict, always an addict? And I would say, as far as an addictive personality, yes. We always are going to, whatever we do, we're going to overdo that part. But as far as being addicted to alcohol or drugs, now, a lot of times, once an addict, always an addict is the common claim, right?
Right.
It's not necessarily true, though. That saying would lead many people to believe that addicts can never get better and addicts are doomed to be an addict for life. Well, the three of us know, because we all went through faith based programs, that once we got Jesus, a true relationship with Jesus, that wasn't the answer for us. So I think the answer is basically, how long does it take us to recover? In some ways, it's quite simple. And in some cases, some people, I think everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody's addiction, everybody's level of addiction personality is different. Because you mix that with OCD, boy, you got a cocktail right there now. And so, in some ways, it's quite simple. For some people, it takes a lifetime. They're constantly having to go to AA or Celebrate Recovery or some kind of, recovery. Uh, and that's generally the people that don't have Jesus. I mean, I'm just putting it honest. I'm being blunt. It's people who don't have Jesus, and for those people, it does take a lifetime. But the process itself is deeply personal. It's all personal, and it varies in length. And you know, complexity is depending on the particular individual and their support systems. Environmental influences, cultural context, these are all factors. You guys chose to plug into the church.
Yep.
And our church ain't just a church. We're an addiction church. We work in addiction. And so it's basically like you're going to an AA or a recovery program 2 to 3 times a week. We come in here on Wednesday night, we have service, right?
Mhm.
We come in here and we record these podcasts talking about addiction.
Yep.
We come in on Sunday morning.
Mhm.
It's like a program, So your environmental surroundings are going to dictate your recovery and your recovery time. If you plug in, you're more likely to be over it and be done with it, especially if it's faith based. I can't say that enough. It's like I tell you guys, you show me your friends and I'll predict your future. You hang around with drunks, you're going back to being a drunk.
Yep.
You hang out with people shooting up, you're eventually going to go back shooting up. All right?
Right.
Right.
So, again, these choices, but I'm not going to label somebody an addict for life. I will say, you got an addictive personality, you got to be really careful about what you choose to devote your time to.
Right.
But labeling them lifetime, no, it's possible. We're all three living proof. We're hope right here. And I just, again, I think recovery is very personal. I think it depends on what you were hooked on, what your drug of choice was, the availability, and your choice in being around the people that do it or don't do it. But the biggest thing is Jesus, and plug in to a place that is going to encourage your sobriety.
Right on. And I do believe that it has something to do with your support system afterwards. Because me and Robert coming to the church, we've had probably some of the best support that anyone could have coming in and out of addiction. And that was one thing that attracted me to this church. I was never seen as the addict. I was seen as me,
Right.
and I was loved where I was at. And the same thing with Robert. He was never seen as the addict. He was seen as Robert, and he was loved where he was at. And after the programs, we were still plugged into the church,
Right.
and we were supported by the church, not just you and Renee, but the whole church as a whole. And that support system and just being lifted up, I don't know, I guess in a way, uh, what is the best word for it? We were pushed to be, not really pushed, but you guys wanted
Encouraged.
encouraged to be the best that we could be and encouraged to be successful.
Well, you know,
I'm glad you gave me that word. I was struggling for
you're welcome. The bottom line is this, and I'm not bragging on myself, I'm not bragging on the church, but because here at this church, we've all been through addiction for the most part. Um, we look at people as that's a child of God. That's somebody's son. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's mama. That's somebody's daddy. That makes a lot of difference.
it. Yes.
And so, it's like we say, we're Misfit Island, where all the broken people go instead of where all the broken toys go. And that's it's a no judgment zone. It is just a no judgment zone. We don't judge you. I mean, if we're not going to let you, we love you, but we love you too much to let you stay where you at.
Yep.
And we will call you out on your junk.
Yep.
And we will put you back in a program if you relapse.
Mm-hmm.
We won't we, Robert?
Yeah, we will.
and so again, this all goes back to the choices you make, and you can make the right choices or the bad choices. It's like I tell these knuckleheads: you're free to choose your sin, you're free to choose your choices, but you ain't free of the consequences. And we got to think before we do things. And it's like we've all talked about. Just last week we talked about detoxing,
Yep.
and finally realizing I ain't got another one in me.
Can't go through that again.
Right. And as you get older, it's like that old Hank Williams Jr. song, hangovers hurt more than they used to. Detox hurts more than it used to. And so you finally, it's like last night we had two little ladies wander in, and I said, have you hit rock bottom? And they's like, oh, I think we passed rock bottom. But yet we didn't get a phone call today
No.
to take them to the program. So we can make it available to them, but, until you decide to do something. So wholeheartedly, are you an addict the rest of your life? That depends on you.
It's a choice. It's a choice.
It is definitely a choice. Um, it's. But again, like we said, you got to plug in somewhere. You got an addictive personality.
Yep.
That's just the bottom line. You got an addictive. You're now a workaholic
Yep.
instead of an alcoholic,
That I am.
and I guess I am too, because I'm here 24/7.
Yeah.
It seems like, and we always replace one drug with another drug. I have people all the time. Oh well, I'm clean. I smoke a little weed now and then, but I'm clean. No, you ain't. Or oh well, I'm clean. I'm on Suboxone, but I'm clean. No,
See, that's why them places brainwash
They
you into
do.
thinking that.
they do. They really do.
I think the craziest thing I've ever heard was somebody say, I'm sober. I'm down to a half a strip now." Well, how long you been down to a half a strip? About 3 years. I ain't sober.
That ain't sober. That ain't sober. That means when you sober, you sanctified, you cleansed, you purified. You know, I don't know. But again, your sobriety's up to you. It's in your hands. And if you choose to hang around the wrong people, you probably are going to be in addiction the rest of your life. If you don't plug into a good faith-based program, brothers, church, celebrate recovery, whatever. If you don't plug in somewhere, you probably will be. You'll probably be back into addiction. But again, it's a choice that you make. You can either go get high, and what really breaks my heart? It breaks my heart is when I see somebody 3, 4, 5 years sober, and the next thing I know, I turn around, somebody says, they overdosed, or they're back using again, and I'm like, dude, how do you go 5 years without using, and then turn around and start using again?
I tell you exactly how.
Well, good.
They forgot where they come from and what they went through, and they lost all their gratitude, and they quit focusing on the Lord.
I was going to say that goes back to staying plugged into a church.
It all goes back.
I mean,
But Robert, I get what you were saying too. Addiction, man, it's Satan. The Bible says that Satan came to steal, kill, and destroy.
That's the very essence of my addiction.
That is the very essence of any addiction. It steals. It makes you a thief. You steal from your mom and daddy. You steal from anybody, but it steals those relationships.
that time.
That time, it steals the time, the most valuable thing in the world, and it steals those relationships. And we have to trust in the Lord. It says He'll restore our years, and that's one of the beautiful things about being an addiction pastor. And it hurts losing people, whether it's from overdosing or they just go back into the lifestyle. But to see the success stories makes it worth it. You know, um, we're looking, guys. We're looking to. We want to bring every aspect of addiction to this table right here, and we want to talk to you about every aspect. Um, Kenneth's daughter, I call her my granddaughter, and me and her spending time together today. And I was explaining to her that as we reach out to these youth, I'm going to need her because there's a lot of kids out there today whose parents are suffering with active addiction, and they're telling them to go to their room and play because they don't want to be doing drugs in front of their kids. They're telling their kids to don't come out unless you need to go to the bathroom, right? And they're trying to hide their addiction from their children, and what they're doing is they're allowing the drugs to steal what you said, that time away. And you can't get that time back because there's two things. Number one, you can't never get time back. You can't buy it back. You don't know how much you got left. But number two, them kids is growing.
Yep.
And they grow fast.
Yep.
And pretty soon they don't want to be around mom and daddy no more. They want to go do their own thing. Or they get so used to being in the room, they don't want to be around people.
Yeah, they're used to being secluded.
They're used to being I call it crate training.
Yep.
My dog, I used to look around the house, dog door open on the crate. I'd be trying to find my dog, look over there, and it's in the crate. We're used to, I had to shut the door. She was crate trained. That was her space. Same thing with kids. And I was telling my granddaughter today, I said, look, there's kids out there that's going through what you done been through, and you can tell them how to cope. You can tell them how to work with this, right? And so we want to bring every aspect. We want to bring the child's perspective. We want to bring the child's perspective into this so that people can send a message out to parents what they're really doing to their kids, but also send the message to their kids of how to deal with mom and daddy while they're in their addiction. Guys, there's so many aspects, there's so many avenues of addiction. We could do this show the rest of my life, and we would always have a different angle to come at addiction. But you just need to remember, addiction comes to steal, kill, and destroy everything in its path. It will take your life. It will take children's lives.
It's not discriminatory.
No, it's not. It don't discriminate at all. It don't matter if you're rich. It don't matter if you're poor. It don't matter if you go to church or if you don't go to church. It don't matter if you're a pastor's kid. It don't matter. It don't discriminate.
It don't matter what color you are.
Nope.
If you're fat, skinny, tall, short.
Addiction's coming, and it's running rampant in this country right now. And it is the real pandemic. And we urge you to keep tuning in. Keep tuning into our show so we can help bring up subjects that maybe you never thought about. Bring up subjects that will help you understand someone else that's in addiction. Because if you've never been in addiction, you don't understand the desires. You don't understand the draw. You don't understand the addiction, period. And if you're in addiction, active addiction right now, that number scrolling on the bottom of that screen, call us. We got help. We got help for you. We'll walk you through it. We'll hold your hand the whole way. But don't waste no more time. Don't let it steal no more of your time. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So that's pretty much what I got. Kenneth, you got anything else to add?
No. Believe it or not, normally I do have something to add, but tonight I do not.
What about you, Robert?
No, I'm good.
Good. All right, guys. Well, as we said, call the number on the screen if you need help. If you have a child or loved one that's going through active addiction, call us and let us talk to you and maybe guide you on how to handle it. Because I'm telling you, there is a extreme fine line between enabling and helping. And you don't want to be enabling because you're prolonging the suffering. And it's not just their suffering you're prolonging, it's your own. Because if you're enabling them, it can drag on for years and then both of you suffer. So that's what we got for you. Y'all, please like this page, the show, share it with your friends, your loved ones. We just want to help. We just want to help. That's all. So I guess since nobody else has nothing to say on this subject, we're gonna get on out of here. So y'all remember, God loves you. I love you. And